Have you ever looked at someone and just wondered, how do they do it? How does some people seem to achieve so much while so many of us just dream about it? Well, today we're going to break down a powerful system for turning that ambition into actual reality. And listen, this isn't about luck or magic, it's a blueprint, it's a formula for success.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to get really clear on one crucial distinction. See, almost everyone has wishes. You know the type. I wish I were rich, or I wish I was in better shape. But let's be honest, those are just daydreams. A goal is a completely different animal. It's clear, it's written down, it's specific, and you can measure it. It's the difference between staring at a map and actually having a destination.
And just how big of a difference are we talking about? Well, the data is pretty staggering. It turns out only about 3% of adults actually have clear, written goals. And get this, that tiny little group ends up achieving 5 to 10 times as much as the other 97% combined. Yeah, the simple act of writing your goals down on paper is that powerful.
So where do you even start with all this? It's not with some complicated to-do list or a fancy app. Nope, it starts with your mind. The absolute first pillar of achievement is mastering your inner world, because everything you build on the outside, it begins on the inside.
This idea right here, this is the bedrock of the entire system. Your outer world is basically a mirror, a reflection of your inner world. Think about it. Successful people are constantly thinking about what they want and how to get there. Unsuccessful people, they tend to focus on what they don't want, all their worries, all their problems. So, it's worth asking yourself, what do you think about most of the time?
You know, there's actually a psychological term for this. It's called your locus of control. If you have an internal locus, you feel like you're the pilot of your own life. You're at the controls. And that feeling creates confidence, strength, power. But with an external locus, you feel like a passenger. You feel like you're being controlled by your boss, your bills, your circumstances. And that just leads to negativity and feeling totally powerless. And this, right here, is the antidote. The exact moment you decide to accept 100% responsibility for your life, for everything in it, the good and the bad, that's the moment you take back the controls. It's when you shift from an external to an internal locus. Look, it can be a little scary, for sure, but it is so incredibly liberating. It's the moment you stop blaming everyone else and you start building your future.
All right, so once you've taken control of your mindset, once your head is in the game, it's time to figure out where you're actually going. Let's move on to that second pillar and look at how we can turn a fuzzy idea into a crystal clear vision for your life.
We're going to do a little exercise here called no-limit thinking. I want you to just imagine for a second that you have a magic wand and there's absolutely no way you can fail. Forget about any limitations you think you have right now. Just let yourself dream. What would your life ideally perfectly look like 5 years from today? Now let's get really specific with that magic wand. Let's apply it to the big areas of your life. What does that perfect career look and feel like? Financially, what number are you aiming for? What kind of relationships do you have with your family and friends? And your health, what's your peak physical condition? Don't be shy here. Get detailed. Paint a very, very clear picture in your mind.
I love this quote from Thoreau because it's the perfect bridge to our next step. It's fantastic to have that big, exciting vision. That's your castle in the air. But a vision without a plan? Well, that's still just a fantasy. Now it's time to get our hands dirty and start building the foundation underneath it.
And that brings us right to our third pillar, execution. This is where the blueprint starts to become a real building. A brilliant plan is totally worthless if it just sits in a notebook. Real success demands daily, focused action. It's all about doing the work.
You know, the key to really effective action is understanding the 80-20 rule. It basically says that 20% of the things you do will produce 80% of your results. The most successful people on the planet don't necessarily do more things. They are just relentless about focusing on the right things, those few high-value tasks that actually move the needle toward their goals. So how do you do that day to day? Well, here's a super simple system. First, always plan tomorrow's to-do list tonight. Your subconscious will actually get to work on it while you sleep. Second, prioritize that list. Think of it like this. A tasks are your must-dos, the ones with serious consequences. B's are important but less so. C's are nice to do. D is for delegate, and E is for eliminate. Just get them off your list. And finally, when you start your day, tackle your A1 task first thing and stick with it until it's 100% done.
So we've got mindset, we've got a vision, and we've got a plan for execution. But there's one last ingredient, one final piece of the puzzle that holds it all together,
And you could argue it's the most important one of all, persistence. Because let me tell you, the path to any great goal is never, ever a straight line.
Listen, setbacks are not a sign that you should quit. In fact, they are an inevitable, necessary part of the journey. Adversity is the test. It's what builds the strength, the character, and the resolve you need to not only achieve your success, but to keep it. It's not a roadblock. It's actually part of the road. When Winston Churchill was once asked for the secret to his success, he gave this incredibly simple 7-word reply. When you face challenges, and you will, this is the attitude that's going to carry you through. Your ability to just keep going, to persist in the face of all that adversity, is the truest measure of how much you believe in yourself and your goals.
Okay, we've covered the whole blueprint: mindset, vision, execution, and persistence. Now it is time to put it all to work. Let's do one simple exercise that you can do the second this is over.
And I mean it, right now. Pause this if you have to. Go grab a clean sheet of paper and a pen. This simple physical act, this is the very first step in turning something that's invisible, your thoughts, into something tangible and real.
Now just follow these simple steps. Write the word goals and today's date at the top. Next, write down 10 goals you want to achieve in the next year. And here's the magic trick. Write them in the present tense, as if you've already done them. So not, I will lose weight, but I weigh 180 pounds. This little trick helps program your subconscious mind for success. Then, look over that list and ask yourself this critical question. Which one of these goals, if I achieved it, would have the greatest positive impact on my life? Circle that one. That right there is now your major, definite purpose. Your final step is to make a promise to yourself to do something, anything, every single day that moves you just a little bit closer to that one big goal.
You know, the weeks, the months, the years, they're going to fly by no matter what we do. You can either spend that time wishing, or you can spend that time building. The choice is completely yours. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with it?